Hello everyone, my name is Jennifer Stay and this is Coloring Bliss, and today I'm excited because I get to fill out my set of the Tri-Tone worksheets, and we're going to be working on a brand specific set of the Tri-Tone worksheets for my favorite set of color pencils, the Prismacolor Premier pencils. And if you've been around with Coloring Bliss at all, you know that I am a Prismacolor girl. I love my Prismacolor pencils, so I'm really excited to work on these worksheets with you. This is going to be some real-time coloring. We're going to take it nice and slow, work through all these worksheets together. There will be timestamps if you want to skip along to a specific set of these worksheets that you would like some help with. You can go ahead and do that. Otherwise, sit back, color along with me, and we're going to learn a lot about the Prismacolor pencils and how these Tri-Tone worksheets work. I'm so excited that you chose to be a part of Coloring Bliss and that you have access to these Tri-Tone worksheets, because they are really going to help you learn about how to pick colors and make picking colors so simple and fun. So let's get started by looking at what the Tri-Tone worksheets look like, especially for the Prismacolor Premier pencils. Okay, let's look down at this stack of pages that you get to download and print off on the paper of your choice. And I guess that's the first thing we need to discuss, is what kind of paper you're going to print this on. Now, I have mine printed on my favorite color pencil paper, and I'll put a link to that paper below in case you're interested in it. This paper is a really nice bright white paper. It's a little bit thick so that it can stand up to some good burnishing and blending, but most importantly, it has a little bit of tooth or texture to it. That gives the color pencil something to grip to, so that's really important. You don't want a paper that is super smooth. Smooth paper is awesome for markers, but for color pencils, you want something with a little bit of texture to it. Not like a patterned texture, just a nice, consistent texture. That's what this paper has. So here's the cover to the Tri-Tone worksheets when you print it off. And this one, as you can see, says Prismacolor Premier color pencils on it. We have different brands that you can download, and we will be adding additional brands. So check back often for your specific brand that you might be interested in creating Tri-Tones for. Okay, let's go and look at the next page. The foundation of the Tri-Tone sets is the Premium Color Scheme Selector. So the Premium Color Scheme Selector is an additional tool that you have access to as a member. So this is what that tool looks like. And you also have access to an amazing tutorial video that will tell you all about this tool here, how to use it. And it's an amazing resource. You're going to learn so much. And this tool, I love this tool. I use it all the time. It helps me pick colors. It's amazing. So this tool is a multiple page download as well. Such a great resource. You get a full color wheel. This is an artist color wheel. You get a blank one that you can color with anything, markers, gel pens, other brands of color pencils. We're going to be coloring one in here in just a minute with our Prismacolor colored pencils here in just a second. And then you get additional wheels that lay on top of the color wheel with holes that you're going to cut out, and you get to see different kinds of color schemes with tips on when to use specific color schemes and how to use it. So useful, so helpful. Like I said, I keep this handy and use it all the time. Makes picking color schemes really fast, really easy. It also helps you problem solve. Like if you're in the middle of coloring a coloring page and you're stuck and you don't know exactly what color to pick next, this Color Scheme Selector can help you get out of a coloring jam really quick and easy. So I highly recommend you download this and print it off and have it in your coloring arsenal. Okay, so that's what this entire Tri-Tone tool that we're working on today relates to and works with. Okay, So the next page in this worksheet set here is an actual color wheel that we're going to color. And every single color on the color wheel corresponds to a color that I've already picked for you. It tells you right here, 917 is yellow orange, 916 is yellow. So you don't even have to worry about or go and struggle and pick the colors for each wedge in this color wheel. I've done all the hard work for you already. You just get to go find the color and start using it. Okay, now the next part that we're going to be working on is the part where we're going to have a master swatch page with all of the tri-tones. This is probably the main page that you're going to want a quick reference to a lot. This will pull together a light, medium, and dark for every color on this color wheel right here. So this is a really beautiful page once it's done, and you're going to have all these beautiful tri-tone set up right here, ready for you to grab and color with. And then we get into the next section here, which shows you what it would look like if you made 3 separate color wheels, all with the light tones from this page right here, all with the medium tones, and then with the dark tones. Okay, then the next section here gives you a little strip of reference colors so that you can put this into your case where you keep your Prismacolor pencils. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. This is my strip right here that I have covered with packing tape. You can laminate it, whatever you want to do. Mine, I colored it all up and I stuck it here in my case just so I have a quick reference of which pencils belong to red violet, which ones are red orange, and then I have them all here in their little sets of 3 ready to easily grab when I'm coloring. So that's how I keep my pencils organized in my case. This is a case by Global Art. I think their Global Art cases are fantastic. Their zippers last a long time. They're sturdy. They hold a lot of pencils. They're fantastic. And what I really like is that each loop will hold 3 pencils, which is perfect for my system because I like keeping my pencils together in sets of 3. So it works perfect for me. Okay, so next page. We get into something that is new for this system and really special, and that is where we are going to show you if you pick a mother color or a dominant color, in this case yellow. Let me slide this down a little bit. Here we have yellow, and each of these color schemes are based off of yellow. So if you have a yellow color scheme based on complementary, this will now show you what that color scheme would look like. So let's say you're doing a coloring page with a beautiful yellow tulip, and you know you want that tulip to be yellow, but you don't know what you want all the other things on that coloring page to be. Well, you would flip to this page in your worksheets because you know your mother color or dominant color is going to be yellow because that yellow tulip is your main attraction. And then here you'll have, eventually, once you color it all in, all of these amazing color schemes pre-colored up and ready to go, and you can quickly look over and see which one catches your eye, which one you think will work best for that coloring page. All pre-colored, all the names and all the color pencils listed and ready to go, and then you can just quickly flip over to your case where all your pencils are, grab the pencils that you need, and you're coloring within moments of deciding which coloring page you're going to do. So that's how this system works, and there's a page in here for each color on the color wheel, and you get to color them all out with all of your pencils, and it's going to be such a useful reference. Not just a good reference, but this whole practice of going through and coloring all of these up will help train your eye, teach you how these color schemes work together, how the light, medium, and darks work all together, and how each color corresponds and balances, and how they all harmonize and balance each other. It's such a good thing to do to train yourself and help you get over your fear of colors and putting color schemes together. Okay, now the last part of this awesome set of worksheets is our Prismacolor Premier Color Pencils swatch pages. Now you guys know I love swatching all of my art supplies. I think swatching is one of the most important things you can do, and we've provided an entire section here all for you to swatch all your Prismacolor pencils. And this is not just an ordinary swatch page. These pages have a special legend at the bottom where it shows you if any of the pencils you're swatching are part of the Tri-Tones. So again, remember back here we had our main page here. Let me flip back. One more right here. We have this main Tri-Tone page where we have all of the colors on the artist color wheel with a light, medium, and dark for each one. So if this color is on this page, then we have marked it back here on the main swatch page and indicated it whether it's a light, medium, or dark. And so as you're coloring along and filling in all your swatches, you'll see, oh, artichoke is a dark. It belongs over here in my Tri-Tone sets. So that will help you reference and know that that's one of your most important pencils now. It's part of the Tri-Tone sets. Now, what do you do with all the other pencils? Because you're going to have a whole bunch of pencils that don't fall into the Tri-Tone sets. Well, those pencils are still going to be very important. You won't just use the Tri-Tone set pencils moving forward. You're going to need the other pencils to kind of add more dimension, add more depth, and you'll find that you will reach for them quite often. But these pencils will become sort of your core, your most important pencils that you reach for first, and then you'll reach for the other pencils. So having them all swatched out here will help, and you'll be able to reference and go, okay, I know I'm using artichoke. What color will balance and go well with artichoke? And you'll see them all laid out here, swatched and easy to reference. So together, this entire set of worksheets all filled out with all your color schemes pre-planned, and then this tool right here to help you plan out color schemes and understand how to use them and when to use them. These two tools together will make your color picking so easy and so much fun. Take all the stress away and just make coloring a blissful, fun experience. So I'm so excited to set up my own set of these worksheets and have them ready for me to reference. So let's get it going. This is going to be lots of fun. All right, the first part of our journey into the Tri-Tone worksheets for the Prismacolor Premier pencils is to fill out the beautiful color wheel and see how it's going to look with all the Prismacolor pencils colored onto this color wheel. So I'm going to set these pages to the side, and it tells us all the pencils we need. Now, I already have my pencils all laid out here with all of the Tri-Tones, the light, medium, and dark for each of the colors on the artist color wheel. So I just need to pull out each color that it says I need. So we're going to start with yellow, and it's 916 that I need. Okay. Now, in case you didn't notice, each of those pencil colors are the mid-tone. So I set this up so that the main colors, the main color that goes on the color wheel is the mid-tone. And that's the way I've built all of my Tri-Tones, that the main color is the mid-tone. Okay, so we're going to start with 916, which is 916, which is canary yellow. And usually what I do when I color these color wheels is I like to have a bit of a gradient. I like to see what the full spectrum of what this tool can do, not just like the burnished or the heavy pressure, but I like to see the light pressure as well. So typically I do the light pressure in the center and I go out to the heavy pressure on the outside, but I think I'm going to change things up a bit this time and do heavy pressure in the middle, out out to light pressure on the outside. We're going to just do things a little different this time. So let's come over here so you can see as I color this. So we'll just lay in some color. Now we've got a lot of coloring to do, so I don't want my hand to get fatigued too quickly, which is a problem in general with all color pencils. So I'm going to attempt to remember to keep my whole arm relaxed, all the way from the shoulder, all the way down to my wrist. It's important to keep your whole arm relaxed, and that will help cut down on fatigue. I'm also hoping if I do the darkest part in the center, that's the least amount of the burnishing or the hard pressure, rather than doing the hard pressure on the outside where I'll have to do the most of the hard pushing. So hopefully my hand fatigue will be lessened. So one of the reasons I love Prismacolor pencils is because of the high amount of pigment. It doesn't take a lot of pressure to get a lot of payoff. And with the yellow, you can really see that in action. Other pencils, when you use like a light color like a yellow, it can take several layers or more pressure to get this kind of color payoff. I'm doing quite light pressure and we're getting a lot of yellow payoff. Okay, that's good light color across the whole wedge. And now I'm going to really lean in down here to get its full color. Nice saturation of color down here. And then just sort of feather out the pressure to a medium, right like that. All right, that's yellow. Okay, we'll put that pencil over here and go to yellow green, which is 912, and do the same thing. Now you'll see my pencils are pretty sharp. I went through before I started filming and sharpened up the majority of my pencils. It's really important to keep your pencils sharp. It actually helps with laying the pencil pigment down onto your paper. Helps, the tip of that sharp pencil gets down into the grooves and texture of your paper easier than a blunt pencil. So pretty. Okay, let's bring up all the pencils. Now we got a little bit of crumbs going on. So I'm going to pull out, I have a brush that I use to remove crumbs. This is just an inexpensive makeup brush that I picked up at Walmart, or it was Dollar Tree or somewhere, I can't remember. It wasn't very much money. It's just a blush brush, and it works really good for removing those crumbs without smearing them. Okay. There we have our Prismacolor Premier color pencil color wheel using the colors that I've selected for you for our Tri-Tone sets. So pretty. So the first page of the worksheet is done. So let's move on to the next page. All right, so the next page in our worksheets is the master swatch chart, and this is probably the most important page that we're going to be working on together. This is where we bring together all the light, medium, and dark combinations that I have created for you. We're going to create them each individually here, for each color on the color wheel, and then we'll do a combo test so you can see what the three colors together look like. We're going to be using Jennifer's rule of blending thirds to do the combo test right here, and that will bring all three colors together seamlessly, and I'll demonstrate that for you multiple times so you can learn Jennifer's rule of blending thirds really well. So this is a really good practice to see how all these colors are going to come together. Okay, so I've got all the main 12 colors here already because we just did that color wheel, and now we can use the same colors and apply them here, and then we'll go pull the lights and the darks out of my case and fill those in as well. So we'll go through, and here's canary yellow. I'm going to do something similar again as far as when I want to see the full spectrum of each of these tools. So I'm going to do probably at the base, the more saturated or burnished type pressure of the color up to the top, which will be a lighter pressure. So we do that again for a couple reasons. Primarily is so that we can see the full spectrum of the tool, what it can do, not just the full saturation, the full depth of the color, but also if you just came in with a tiny bit of that color when you're doing your art, what will you get both ways? You can see here, let me come to this view here. You can see here when you do the full pressure, you get a different look than when the white of the paper is coming through. You'll get a different look. So it's good to see both spectrums of that same tool. Okay, so I'm going to quickly go through. This won't take as long as the color wheel because the areas are smaller. The other reason I like to do this, the hard pressure down to the light pressure, is again to save on hand fatigue. If you were to do the burnishing on the entire rectangle, all these rectangles, think how tired your hand would be at the end. It would really wear you out. And it's going to look really pretty, all these gradients at the end. So remember, relax that arm, relax that shoulder, and use your whole arm for the coloring. And again, if you tend to have a death grip on your pencils, it's really worth your time to try to train yourself out of that death grip. And one of the best things you can do is to force yourself to slide that hand to the mid or back end of the pencil. That's really going to help you to relax your grip. Another trick is to sharpen up your pencils. Mine's starting to get dull already, and so putting a nice sharp tip on that pencil also forces you to not push so hard. You tend to be a little more delicate with a sharper pencil than a dull one. And the more sharp it is, you actually can get into those, the texture of the paper easier with a nice sharp pencil. So try those little tips. Relax your arm, move your hand back, sharpen up your pencils, and then just practice. Remind yourself to Get out of that habit of death gripping your tools. It will serve you well. Okay, blue-green 905. I really like the way that Steve created this page for us, how he has the number and the name of each tool here. It's really a valuable page. Okay, now down here to red orange. This is that pencil that was getting dull, so I think I'll sharpen this pencil up. I'm going to use my Carl pencil sharpener. I've got lots of videos on YouTube and such about sharpening pencils, so I'm just going to tell you really quick about sharpening pencils. This is not my favorite way to sharpen pencils, but it is fast and pretty efficient. Carl is very aggressive. I have a link to Carl in our Amazon storefront if you're curious about Carl. He is very aggressive. He really sharpens a pencil, and he has these teeth right here that hold the pencil, and they pinch and put permanent marks on your pencil, which I don't like bite marks. I don't like that. What I do like about Carl is that he is fast. And when you're in the middle of a project like this, it's nice to have a really fast way to sharpen your pencil. It's also a helix type sharpener, so you get different kinds of shavings. I'll show you. That's how Carl works. You can see the bite marks maybe right on the body of the pencil, and he makes a really long cut, and he leaves shavings on the neck, I guess, of the pencil, which I don't like. So there's a lot of things about Carl I don't like. This is what the shavings look like when they come out, kind of like dust from the helix cutting inside. My preferred way of sharpening, especially Prismacolor pencils, is with a handheld sharpener like this one right here. This is by Alvin. This is Alvin Brass Bullet. It's a really good sharp blade, and it works really good, and it makes my favorite kind of shavings, these types of shavings, which I collect and save in jars because I think they're beautiful. I even have a ring that my son made for me out of shavings like this. I also love the Coom brand, makes a really good handheld sharpener that lasts a really long time. So that's my preferred method of sharpening pencils, and I'll show you how to sharpen with this type of pencil sharpener. You put the pencil in, and the idea is you want to hold the pencil still and move the sharpener around the pencil. That's the same thing that Carl does. The pencil is gripped and held still, and then the helix blades sharpen around the pencil. That protects the core and keeps it stable while the blade is doing its job, and you'll have fewer broken tips if you do it this way. So, and I do it backwards. I mean, I think technically the way you should do it is this way so that you can do it with your right hand. I'd actually do it like a lefty would do it. I don't know why I learned it this way, but I did. So you want to hold your pencil still and move your sharpener around. And if you start feeling like your blade's either on your helix one or on this type of sharpener is feeling a little dull, use a graphite pencil like a number 2 pencil or any kind of standard pencil and run it through your sharpener, and that will sharpen up your blade and clean it really good. So this is my preferred way of sharpening a pencil. Because I have more control. If my pencil is a little off-centered, I can correct that. I can go slow and be really careful. So yeah, this is the way I prefer to do it, but it is very slow. So there you go, sharpening your pencils. That's my little hints for you. And yeah, I kind of miss collecting my shavings, but Carl really is very fast, and if you have to sit down and sharpen 100 pencils, Carl's the one to reach for. Okay, let's clean off our little crumbs that we've got going on here with my brush, and let's get back to red orange number 118. Where did you go? Is this it? Yep, right here. Number 118, red orange. And now that that pencil is really sharp, look how quick and easy it goes down. Another habit, other than not gripping your pencil, another habit to get into is rotating your pencil as you color. And what that does is it lets the sharpest bit of the pencil touch the paper. The other thing you can practice is the angle. You'll get a different effect depending on the angle you hold your pencil. So you can experiment with that. Different grips on your pencil, different angles on your pencil will all change your final coloring result. You can also color in lines. You can color in little circles. There's a lot of different ways to color. Okay, orange is next. Number 1002. Let's see, that's this pencil right here. Okay, so we have all of the mid-tone, the main color, laid down. Now we get to do the lights and the darks. So for that, we'll bring up my case where I have them all, and I can easily grab the colors out of the case. Okay, here we go. So let's fill in the rest of the colors for yellow, which is cream, number 914. Yellow tends to be the most difficult of all the colors when it comes to creating the tritones. For some reason, we typically don't get too many yellows in sets, markers, pencils. They don't seem to give us too many yellows. So it can make building tritones difficult. When you watch the other video where we talk about how I build the tritones, and I think we even have a video where I filmed myself picking the tritones for the Derwent ink tints, and I talk about why we choose, what colors we choose, and the kind of my rules I established for myself for the tritones. For instance, one of the rules is that in the end I wanted to have 36 individual pencils, so no overlaps in colors. So this one yellow pencil could only be used in one place. That was kind of the rule I made for myself. Okay, so there's the light, medium, and dark for the yellow. Now we're going to do the combo test, and then I can put these 3 pencils back into the case. So this is our first time doing Jennifer's rule of blending thirds. So let's learn Jennifer's rule of blending thirds, shall we? So it's pretty simple, and I teach it a lot, and you can use this rule for multiple different kinds of art mediums. Art media, that's how you say that. You can use it for markers, gel pens, and color pencils. So let me teach it to you. So the first step is to take your lightest color and color the entire area with your lightest color. And we are doing color pencils, so you want to lay it down with a light pressure for your first layer. Because we are working with a dry medium, and that means we have a limited tooth or texture on the paper. We don't want to fill it all in with our very first pass. And it's kind of the general rule with color pencil is to go slow and light layers and save that burnishing till the end, because it sort of finishes things off. Once you've burnished, it's really hard to put anything on top of that burnished layer. Okay, so step 1 is to fill the whole area with your lightest color. Step 2 is your mid-tone. We're going to color about 2/3 of the way with this mid-tone. Okay. Like that. And we're going to have lots of practice doing Jennifer's rule of blending thirds, doing this swatch chart. So by the time we are done with this swatch chart, you'll be feeling really confident. The thing I love about Jennifer's rule of blending thirds is I can pretty much guarantee that you will be good at blending if you learn this rule. I love that. Okay, now you go to your dark, and you're going to color about 1/3 of the way up. Remember, light pressure. Okay. You start with light pressure, and then if you need to lean in a little bit at this point, you can, because you do want this color to really show. And you want to have some good, what's the word? Intensity, dimension, depth, all those types of words. That's what we're after. Some good contrast. Okay. That's looking good. So by now, right here, we've gone over this little section 3 times. Let me come in a little closer so you can see. We've gone in over this part 3 times. This has only had 1 layer right here, just so we can recap. Okay, I'm going to go a little bit more like medium pressure right here, just to give a little bit more depth and contrast with this color. We can always come back with this color at the very end, just to pop that dimension. Okay, back to your mid-tone now. We're going to color this 2/3 one more time. This brings this color and this color together. Doesn't take much, because that color's already there. So now we're sort of sandwiching the colors together. And you want to make sure that this line isn't harsh. So some light layers right there to just smooth that layer out. And then finally back to your lightest color again. And we're going to color the whole thing. This is going to bring everything together, all 3 colors. Doing still light to medium pressure. Okay, now at this point you can call it done. I usually will grab my darkest color one last time and come down here and just up the contrast just a tiny bit by doing some burnishing pressure. That's your hardest pressure. just to make sure that we have a good contrast between your lightest area and your darkest area. And that's Jennifer's rule of blending thirds. And we're going to be doing it again. I kind of did it really slow so that you could hear all the steps. But there you can see how those three colors can come together to show you what that tritone looks like when all three colors work together in harmony. So that's what we're shooting for. So when you need yellow, that's the kind of result you're going to get when you color with these three colors together. So that's why you want to see the whole page colored together, because you're not only going to see the individual colors, but how they work as a team. Pretty cool. Okay, now these three colors go together in their one little loop, all ready to go, ready for coloring. So now let's bring out the yellow greens. So we should have 912, 989, and 911. Okay, so let's go ahead and color these ones in, just like we did for yellow. And then I'll break down Jennifer's rule of blending thirds again. Okay, and then the chartreuse color. Such a fun, bright yellow green. When we made these tritones, we were trying to make them balance not only individually as a dark yellow green and a light yellow green, but also as a group. When we did the combination together, they needed to look good together as well. Okay. There we go. Now let's put them together. Jennifer's rule of blending thirds again. Remember, step one is to color the whole oval with your lightest color first, and use very light pressure. This will stand out a little bit better because we're using a bit of a darker color this time. Okay, mid-tone goes about 2/3 of the way up. So I use Jennifer's rule of blending thirds all the time. Coloring skin tones, flowers, trees, everything. I use it with markers, gel pens, and it's not just for bringing together light, medium, and dark. You can use it to bring together totally opposite colors as well, like a red and a green. You can use it to bring that together too. Okay, now the dark color does about 1/3. Remember, this is where you want to start building your contrast. Make sure you've got good contrast between your light end and your dark end. That. Good. Back to your mid-tone. Over the whole 2/3 again. You can do Jennifer's rule of blending thirds with more than 3 pencils too. It just gets a little confusing. I recommend you lay out the tools in the order that you're doing it. Okay, back to the lightest tone and go over the whole oval again to bring together all the layers. And finally, come back with your darkest tone just to make sure you get that contrast. This is that burnishing you save to the end. There we go, looking good. Okay. And they go into their slot. Okay, now we're moving on to green. We should have Peacock Green 907, True Green 910, and our main color is 909 Grass Green. Make sure I got the right one, Peacock Green, yep. And there we have it. This page is complete. Look at that. Oh, it's so pretty. Let's put those pencils into the case. So there they all are now. All the pencils. And let's look at this next to the finished colored wheel. So here we have the wheel and the corresponding tri-tone sets. So these two pages are the two most important pages in the tri-tone sets worksheets here. So together we can now start using the system with the printed out pages that we talked about at the very beginning. This color wheel color scheme selector printout that I told you about, and there's a link to it. You print this out now and you can put the wheel on top of here and select your colors, and if you use like a complementary color scheme and you lay it on top and it tells you to use blue, green, and red, orange, and then you can come over here and okay, I need blue, green, and red, orange, so you find your red, orange, and blue, green right here, and it tells you what 6 pencils you need to get started. So you already have now pre-colored everything you need to get started. Now what we're going to do next is move in and keep coloring. We have a few more color wheels to color. Let me show you. We have these 3 color wheels that we can color next. And what these 3 color wheels will show us is if we color just with the light tones and the dark tones, what a color wheel will look like built that way. So that's the next thing we get to color. And then we move into coloring the actual color schemes. We also have this little tool that we get to color, which is this right here. Another strip that you can use to put into your coloring case where you hold all your color pencils. So this is the next 2 pages that we'll be coloring in the set of worksheets, and then we get to move on and start coloring those color schemes up and see what color schemes look like all pulled together with this set of pencils. So it's really exciting. I can't wait to bring this together. So let's move on to the next part of the worksheets. All right, everyone, this is day 2 of our project where we're filling out the Tri-Tone worksheets of the Prismacolor Premier colored pencils. And it is pouring rain outside, so if you hear any background thunder or the sound of rain hitting my roof, that's the sound you're hearing right now. So I'm just thrilled that we're getting some rain. It's been so hot here and I'm happy about it, and it's a beautiful day to be doing some coloring. Okay, the next part of the worksheets that I am working on right now is the Color Wheel Tri-Tone sets. There's some thunder right now, and we are going to fill out at the exact same time. We're going to do the swatch strip that we use in the case where we hold our pencils. So while we have the pencils out, we'll just do both at the same time. Should be kind of fun. So let's just go through this and listen to the rain while we're doing it. So here's the light tones, the dark tones, and the medium tones. And thankfully, Steve has it all numbered, and all we have to do is match up the right pencil to the right wedge and the right square, and just sit back and relax, listen to the rain, and do our coloring. So I think I'm going to do the same thing that I did here on the big wheel, do the burnishing in the center and the lighter pressure out towards the outside. And let's see how these wheels turn out. So let's see, this is 914 right here. And this should go pretty quick because these wedges are pretty small. And the little squares for the swatch strip are very small as well. So this part should go pretty fast. Okay, let's put the greens back. So what my friend did, it's Polly, after she finished coloring hers, she laminated it and cut out segments with a little bit of white above, like I did. And then she cut each section out individually. You can see here that the yellow matches up good, and the yellow-green does too, but then the green should be over here, blue-green should be over here, and pretty much we get off track as the card moves along the pencils here. So she took a paper clip for every loop of elastic and she was able to line up each one of the little tri-tone swatches with every single one of the loops by cutting up the swatches and using a paper clip individually for each loop. So I thought that was a great solution to keeping the actual color with the actual tri-tone set. So I'll probably end up doing the same thing eventually. On my strip here, I have some notes, so I'll explain why I have those notes here in just a second. Okay, the next are our blue-greens. We've got 992. There we have it. Okay, there's the completed swatch strip ready to be laminated. Now you can laminate it with an actual laminator if you have one. If you don't have a laminator, I have in the past used packing tape, clear packing tape. I've used clear Scotch tape for wrapping gifts. There's lots of different ways to laminate and protect these little strips that you use in your pencil cases. So there it is, and whether you cut it up and use the little segments individually or as a full strip, it's totally up to you and what works best for your pencil case. Okay, so that page is done. Let's look together now at our 3 color wheels. Look how different each color wheel turned out. So much fun to look at these this way. So remember, the medium tone one is the one that looks closest to the artist wheel. And then the light tone one gives me vibes of spring, Easter. It's very soft and comforting. And then the dark tones one gives me more of an antique feel, more has undertones of grays and blacks in it, has an autumn feel, very warm, very rustic type feel. So this has been a really good exercise. It helps me understand the colors, the undertones, how they compare to each other. It's really a good exercise, really worth your time to do and be able to understand your pencils even more. Yep, very worth the time. And it's pretty and fun. Okay, so now we get to go on to the next part of the worksheets. Okay, the next section of our worksheets is the Color Schemes Color Wheel Tri-Tone sets. There's 12 pages to this section, 1 page for every color on the artist color wheel. Now, this whole section corresponds to that download I've been referring to, the Color Scheme Selector. So let me show you how this works. Okay, so we flip this page over, and here is that yellow page that we have referred to before. Now, if you have printed this off already, you know you've got all these different wheels. Now, here's my set that I have cut off and used in many videos in the past. And let me show you how this page corresponds to all of this, okay? So we've got our artist color wheel right here. And what happens is for the yellow page, what Steve did was he took each of these color schemes. So here is the complementary color scheme. And for our primary color, our mother color or dominant color, he found out what the color scheme would be for complementary. So here he sees that it's yellow and violet. So he set up that color scheme for us with all the colors that belong in the Tri-Tone set. So all 3 colors are labeled here that belong for the yellow and belong for the violet. Then he did the same thing for analogous. So let's bring up the analogous wheel. Let's see, I can take those 2 wheels out. Here's the analogous wheel. Again, he made it so that yellow is the mother color or dominant color here. And you can see we've got yellow, yellow, green, and green. Here we have analogous 2. So we have yellow, yellow, orange, and yellow, green. And then the third way you can do it is this direction. So we have yellow, yellow, orange, and orange. And then he did the same thing again with our split complementary, which is my favorite of all of the color schemes. And he laid it down so we have yellow, red violet, and blue violet, and so on. He did that for all of these different color scheme wheels and laid them all out for us in a very simple laid out way with all the color names and numbers laid out so we can color them all up. Now again, like I explained at the very beginning of this whole tutorial, How this helps us is if you have a coloring page or a piece of art that you're working on and you know right away what your dominant color is. Maybe you have a color that you've been wanting to color with, a favorite color like blue, or maybe you're coloring this for someone who has a favorite color, like I have a nephew who loves orange, and maybe I know that I want to do a color page for him that is orange. So I would flip to the orange page, and when I'm done with this worksheet and I have it all filled out, I'll be able to flip to the orange page and quickly reference and see a whole bunch of really beautiful tri-tone color schemes all laid out and ready, and I can pick whichever one inspires me and makes me want to color. And I can see how all the colors harmonize and look together using orange as my dominant or mother color. So that's the idea behind the following 12 pages. Now, this is going to take a little bit of time to fill this out, but it's going to be really well worth it. If you've had trouble picking out colors, if you have trouble understanding, how do I put this color together with this color? When do I put this color with this color? If these are the kinds of things that you struggle with, even like with putting outfits together or decorating your house, if you just don't understand color, going through this kind of process where you're going to meticulously think through all of these color schemes is really going to train your eye and help you understand how these colors harmonize and work together. And it's going to help you understand why you're drawn to certain color schemes. And it's going to help stretch your color muscles and maybe help you push out of some of your comfort zones, your color comfort zones, and get you coloring in different areas that you don't normally do. So it's really worth the time to do this. I'm so excited to have the following 12 pages colored out. So let's start with yellow, and we're going to work through this together and see how this turns out. It should be lots of fun. I am really excited to have these 12 pages colored out. Okay, let me move some of this stuff out of the way, get my pencils ready, and let's start coloring. Tuck that direction. Let's see, that's the cover for this section. I'm going to tuck it up here. We only need one page at a time here. And I think the question's going to be, what's the fastest and most efficient way to do this? So I've got my 3 colors for yellow. I think the best way to do this is going to be every time it says yellow, I'm going to go through and color all 3 of those pencils. I think that'll be the best way to do this. And I'm double checking. These pencils are pretty sharp. I think I'm good. So now we could do Jennifer's rule of blending thirds for each and every one of those squares, but I think that's going to take a little too long. We might be here for the next 2 or 3 days doing it that way. So I think the best way for me to do this is going to be just do a nice, gradient between the 3 colors. I think that's the way I'm going to approach it. All right. So here we go. I'm going to keep this handy because I think as we go, I'm going to need to protect areas that I've already colored, and then I won't be rubbing my arm on it. All right, I feel prepared. Let's do this. I'm going to start right here. So I'm going to do some of the light tone and go to the mid-tone. Let's see how I feel about the way this looks. And dark tone at the bottom. I want enough of each of the 3 colors that I will be able to really see, so I can really pick that color scheme and know what I'm going to get when I grab those 3 colors. I want that mid-tone to be really dominant. Like that. I think that looks good to me. And then that light tone. Do we like that? I think that's pretty good. I'm not too worried about the blend being perfect because it's more about just representing the color yellow. I think I like that. Okay, let's keep moving through this. All right, there you have it. Let's sharpen these and then we will look at the whole page.
Oh, I like that color scheme. That square tetradic.
Okay, this one doesn't need sharpening. All right.
So I am curious to see if it touches every color. Let's see, so you have yellow, green, you use green.
Yep.
Blue, green.
Yep.
Blue.
Yep.
Blue, violet.
Yep.
Violet.
Yep.
Red, violet.
Red, violet. Yep.
Red.
Yep.
Orange, red, orange. Yeah.
Yep.
Orange.
Yep.
Yellow, orange.
Yep.
Yeah, so it touches every color.
That's pretty cool. Okay, let's dust the whole thing now. The plan, eventually I'm going to put all these into sheet protectors or laminate them. I don't know. Laminate changes the color just a little bit because it heats up the waxes. So I'll probably just put them into sheet protectors and then put them into a 3-ring binder. But there's the first one. Wow. Isn't that fun? Wow.
So if you had to pick one to color with right now, which one is inspiring you?
Well, I would stay away from the split complementary because for me, the whole point here is to, kind of spread your wings and try something new. But I do like a 3-color combination. It's kind of easier to control. So I don't know, I haven't done an analogous color scheme in a really long time. So I think I would probably choose, I know how maybe an analogous color scheme is sort of boring, but I'm kind of being drawn towards the analogous color schemes right now on this page. But if I were to be daring, I probably would come down into the tetradics. I really love the, what are these called?
Tertiary.
The tertiary colors. And like the red, orange, and blue, green color. And then, of course, this one's got the violet. And you guys know I love purple. So this one here, the square tetradic, is really calling my name.
That's the one I would pick too.
Really?
Yeah. It's interesting, you look at the square tetradic versus the rectangle tetradic too. It's basically the same, except you just rotate the red to the red-orange and the green to the blue-green.
So it brings up those tertiary colors.
Yeah.
And the tertiary colors have more depth and dimension, and they feel a little more interesting. When you go into, these have more youthful feeling. The more primary color has, it's just more youthful and not as complex of a color. tertiary colors are more difficult to work with in general. So if you're looking for a simpler color scheme, then avoid tertiary colors as your main colors. That's my hint to you. Stick with, like, this triadic color scheme would be a really good color scheme because it's primary colors. It's just 3 colors. This would be a really good, like, beginner color scheme. It will feel youthful, but it's going to be really easy to work with because it's not these complicated tertiary colors to work with. But when you go here, you get these really in-depth colors and lots to work with here, but it's a much more complicated color scheme. So, yeah, that's just really interesting. And that's just one of the 12 pages. It's going to be really fun to have all the pages there to look at. Wow. Well, I think I need to take a break. I'm going to take a little bit of a break, go get something to eat, put my feet up for a few minutes, and then come back and I'll move on to the next page, which is which color? Probably yellow-green, right?
I think so.
Let's see. Oh, that's our swatches. We still have swatches to do. Oh, it's right here. Yeah. So the next one that I'll do is yellow-green. Look how sad it looks, all empty and just begging for color. So that'll be the next page that I move on to. Yeah, I'm excited. It's going to be good. Okay, we'll see you in a minute. Hi everyone, I'm back from my nice long break. It's actually been over a week of a long break. What I've been doing is a lot of coloring downstairs, sitting at my couch, just relaxing and enjoying filling in the colors for the Tri-Tone worksheets. So I'm excited to show you the progress that I've made. I have one color left to do, so we're going to do that one together. And I'm going to show you sort of the system that I've come up with for coloring. It's made it go a little bit faster for me, and I've really enjoyed the process. And I've also put all of the sheets into sheet protectors for this workbook now, and I love how it's all looking. I can't wait to thumb through it with you and show you how everything looks. So let's do that right now. This is the 3-ring binder that I have. I'm kind of thinking what I'm going to do is print off an extra copy of the first page and then cut just this section off and use that as the insert right here along the spine so that it will be nice and professionally labeled and I can find it easily on my shelf. So that's my plan. So I have everything in sheet protectors, as you can see, and it makes it so easy to thumb through this entire book and find everything that I need really quickly, and it's keeping me from smudging and rubbing all of my hard work, all the colored swatches. So I really like it. So let me show you my progress. It's so much fun. You've seen all of that. You've seen the yellow page, and then where we left off was I was saying I was going to work on yellow-green. And as I got thinking about it when I took my break, I got thinking, you know, maybe what the most efficient way to go about this whole project would be to color one color at a time. So that's what I ended up doing. I took yellow-green, the Tri-Tones for yellow-green, and I went through and on every page where it said yellow-green, I colored all the yellow-green squares, and then I took my green pencils and I went through and I colored all the squares that said green, and then I took all the blue-green and I did all the blue-green, and so on and so on. And that way I only had to touch the pencils once, basically, rather than going through like we did together on the yellow and having to go pull each set of colors every time for every color that was indicated on each of the pages in the book. So that was a really fun way to go about it. The colors have sort of grown as I've gone through the book, and it's been really neat to watch as the pages have come together. So the last color I have to do that we're going to do together today is the orange color. I left that as the final one. So I'm going to just thumb through this so you can kind of see how beautiful the pages are looking. Now that they're in sheet protectors, you're getting a little bit of a glare, and I apologize for that. But like I said, I like having them in the sheet protectors because I'm not worrying about them rubbing up against each other and the colors transferring and my fingers rubbing on the pages. So it makes it so nice. So here is the page that needs the most orange colors, as you can see. And I'm just so excited. This will be the final one. We get to see all the pages come together. And then, of course, I have a lot of swatching in the back to still do. But at least I'll have all of the tritones swatched into their places here in the back. And then over the next few days, I can just finish up swatching all of the Prismacolor Premiers into the back. And then this whole workbook will be complete and will be this ultimate resource for picking colors with my Prismacolor pencils. So let's pull out the orange pencils. And that is these three right here. They're all sharp and ready to go. So we're going to flip back here to yellow green because we did all of yellow together. So we come to yellow green, and there is the orange square that needs my attention. I'm going to pull this out. And this brings me, this is the perfect opportunity for me to tell you the first thing that I have learned over the last few days as I've been doing all of these swatches. And it's been really fascinating. One of the questions I had was, will there be one of every color on every page? I've often wondered, does every color go with every color? Like, does orange go with yellow green? Is there a color that you should never put together? Like, is there a match that would never work together? And what I've discovered is every color on the artist color wheel at some point gets paired together in one of these color schemes. So it's kind of encouraging. It tells me that I can put together almost any combination and there's a way for them to look good together. So that's exciting to me as a colorist. I really like that. So I'm going to color up this final square on this page, and we can see together the whole yellow-green page all done. So yeah, this has been a really long project. I'm not going to lie. All of these swatches have taken a long time. I wanted them to look really nice. And so I've taken my time to make sure that the blending is decent. I didn't do my best work with the blends. Some of them are kind of rough, but I wanted them to be pretty good. I want them to be a good representation of each tritone. So I've really taken my time, and it has taken a long time. This whole process has been quite arduous. So when you decide to sit down and do this, don't be surprised if this is a long process with your color pencils. Remember, color pencil coloring it's a long process. Color pencils take a long time to lay down color. So when you take on this project, expect it to take some time, but relax, enjoy yourself. Think about the combinations. Think about, do I like these combinations? Do I like the way this is? Would I use this combination? How do I like this? Where would I use this combination? That's what I've been doing as I've been coloring these together. I've been thinking through these kinds of things, and it's been a really good exercise. I've really enjoyed it. All right, yellow green is officially done. Look how beautiful. That's another thing that I've really learned, is that the tertiary colors still are my favorite colors. They really are the ones that every time I come to a page that is tertiary, I really am drawn to the combinations that are created. I mean, look at this one right here, this red, orange, the yellow, green, and the blue, violet. that combination right there just really speaks to me. I just want to color something out of that combination right there. So like I said, even though this has taken a really long time to do, I have learned a lot about myself and the colors that I'm drawn to, and I'm understanding more and more why I'm drawn to those color combinations. So let's officially slide this back into its sheet protector, perhaps for the last time. I'll probably pull them back out to take really good photographs of them so we can post them on our website for all of you to reference. Okay, the next one is the green. So let's get this one colored. Okay, the green page has 2 orange squares for me to color. This out of the way. Okay, so then what I've been doing, I'm going to move this out of the way too, so we have as much room to work as possible here. So then what I've been doing is, after I locate all the squares that need the color that I'm working on, I've been going through and doing the dark first. Let me show you on this angle here so you can see. I've been going through and doing the dark side of the swatch first. Kind of building up almost a U shape, and then really burnishing in that dark color right at the base, and then with lighter pressure doing almost swirls, little circles like that, and then doing that same process again on any square that is the one I'm working on. So like I said, green has 2 orange squares. Burnish it in so the dark one is really represented at the bottom, and then lighter pressure swirls like that. And then the next step, what I've been doing is switching to the lightest tone and going to the top and doing an upside down U. Same steps, so burnishing at the very top so that color is really represented, and then light pressure with swirls like this, and then do the same thing here again. This has been the perfect project to do while watching TV, because once you've established the color you're working on, you can just sort of zone out and listen to a show you enjoy. I've been watching The Great British Bake Off and just enjoying the coloring. Then I go to the mid-tone and bring the 2 colors together like this. This is medium to light pressure. And I go back again, medium to light pressure, just to make sure that that nice mid-tone, which is our main color from the artist color wheel, is nice and represented. A little bit heavier pressure on the edges, lighter pressure in the middle, like that. And that brings the 2 colors together, and you can really see the orange color well. Heavier pressure on the edge, back through, light pressure in the middle, heavier pressure on the edge. And then if you want to, it's up to you. If you feel like it needs just a little bit more, I go back to the light and it can smooth out the top a bit. Looks really pretty when you do that. But like I said, I haven't been spending a whole lot of time. I don't want to overly detail this because there's been so many swatches to do, so much blending. And when you want to get this project done, you just don't want to do your very, very, very best blending you've ever done, because I'm trying to get this project done so you can get to coloring your coloring pages. Okay, let's get this into the book and flip the page. and see what the next page is looking like. All right, so here is our blue-green page. Looks like we've got 2 orange squares to go. Again, here we are back at a tertiary color. Look how pretty. Oh, so pretty. Can't wait to see what the orange looks like in here. Okay. Slide that over. And again, to your darkest tone. So pretty. All those blue-green combinations. I think blue-green is a color that I haven't been using enough. And when I was coloring blue-green on all the pages, I kept thinking, wow, I need to use blue-green more. It's so pretty. So I think I'll be using blue-green in more of my coloring. So pretty. Okay, slide that one in. Nice and protected. And we are on to blue, a primary color. And look how different the feel is between this set. Let's see if I can get it out of the glare. This set, oh, it's so glary. Maybe we'll just take it out. So you can see the difference, the feel between a tertiary color scheme and a primary color schemes when the primary color is your mother color. You can see how different the feeling is between the two. So different. This is the kind of thing that you're going to feel. Now, the other thing that I decided to have Steve do for all of you, as I was coloring these, I got thinking, there's one color scheme missing that I would love to add and have for you. And so he's going to add right here a little monochromatic color scheme for each of you on these pages so that you can color a monochromatic color scheme. And basically, to color with your monochromatic color scheme, all you would need are these 3 pencils, the 3 pencils that are featured in the Tri-Tone. So I really wish I had that, and I got thinking more and more about it as I was coloring, and I asked Steve and he added it in. So my plan, because I don't want to recolor all of this, is I'm going to just print out a few of them and cut them out and tape them down here all fully colored. So I'll have the same version that you have. That's my plan. Okay, so let's do the blue page and see how the orange color changes the color schemes. So this one has 4 different squares, and the reason there's so many different squares that feature orange is because orange is the complementary color to blue. So that's the other thing that I discovered as I was doing this. Is anytime the complementary colors are featured, they end up being in a lot of the color schemes. So complementary colors are really powerful, and if you know the complementary colors, I think that's the first thing that I would love to memorize. I have a few memorized, but I think that would be something to really put into my brain permanently, would be all the complementary colors, because it seems to be really important to know across all the color schemes. So we have 4 squares on this one to set up with orange, because blue and orange are complementary colors. Now, another tip, if you decide to color up your swatches the same way that I did, where you do all your blues, all your red violets, all at the same time, it can get a little bit confusing. So doing what I'm doing right now, where you go through and you find all of all the blues all at the same time and do all the dark color first, just so you can kind of find where all the blue squares are first, is really helpful, because then once you have found all the squares on that page that you need to color that particular color, then you can sort of turn your brain off and you don't have to focus quite so hard You can just listen to the show or the book on tape or the music, whatever you're doing at the time, and let your mind drift. Right now, this is pretty simple because we only have the orange squares left. So, but about halfway into the coloring of the swatches, it started getting really complicated trying to find all the correct colors. And once in a while I would miss them, and later as I was coming back through the pages again, I would discover I had missed red violet on a certain page, and I'd have to go back and find those pencils and catch the ones I missed. And that was no big deal. It didn't happen too often. I was actually pretty proud of myself for not missing too many colors like that. And I think only twice did I start coloring the wrong square, and I caught myself pretty fast. So what I did in that case was I just colored over it with the next color. It worked out fine. I don't think I could even if I wanted to, I don't think I could find the ones that I messed up like that. So it worked out fine. I think if it was like a really light one and I started like a darker color, it might be a problem, and maybe you'd need to use some whiteout or something like that to get rid of the first color, the mistake color. That might be the best solution. Okay, there's red orange all done compared to red. Look at the difference between the analogous ones. That's really interesting. Last one. Hooray! I did it. I did it. Wow. Wow. All right, let's get it in here. And make sure that these have been swatched. I think they have, but I want to make sure. I don't know. All right, we're looking for 1002. Let's see, 140 I think would be up here. Yep. So that one's done. It can be sharpened. 1033, have we swatched you? Yep. And 1002. Yep. Okay, so these have all been swatched in my main swatching pages. Like I said, I still have a lot of swatching to do back here, but that's okay. I have lots of days ahead of me that I can just sit and swatch. One reminder to give you when you go from swatching here to swatching back here, just to remind yourself to do just one color in each of these squares. It was really hard to swap from doing 3 colors per square to going to just 1 color per square. So just remind yourself of that when you move to these back pages, especially if you're doing like I did and you're doing one color at a time, and then you come back here and it's time to swatch these pencils one at a time back here. It can get really repetitive, and then all of a sudden you're switching up how you're coloring and you don't want to make a mistake back here. So remind yourself of that. Okay, let's sharpen up these 3 pencils and put them into their case. all sharpened and ready to go next time I need them. Whoa. Thank you, Carl. Bring my case up. Okay, so of course the other little project that I wanted to do was to put the new strip in and make sure that I have one little color swatch per loop. That's the other little project, but that can wait for another day too. The main thing I wanted to accomplish with all of you was to get these pages colored up back here. These individual color scheme pages, the main color wheel Tri-Tone set page. This is a really important page because we refer to this one a lot. And then of course the big color wheels. That was really important to get done with all of you as well. So I hope that you enjoyed this real-time coloring. Of course, I did skip and didn't take you along for all of the swatching, but I think you'll forgive me for that because it did take a long time. I hope that you download and print all these pages and enjoy swatching all of them. I am looking forward to swatching markers and other types of tools into the system. The markers should go a lot faster and easier, especially easier on the hand. To get them into the system will be really beautiful to see those colors all swatched into here. But I just love having them all here in this book together now, and I'm really looking forward to really using this as an important tool now in my coloring arsenal. I love having it, so can't wait to see what you do with it. Have fun coloring them. If you have any questions, make sure you shoot your questions off to us and I'll try to answer them for you. And have fun and enjoy using this tool. I hope it's really helpful to you and makes your Prismacolor Premier pencils even more special and unique and inspiring to you as you do your coloring. So enjoy them, and I hope you have a wonderful, colorful, blissful day. Bye-bye, everyone.